Today, we're going to dive into a story, a really simple but profound one. It's a parable that kind of challenges the way we judge the twists and turns that life throws at us, especially when things really don't go according to plan.
I mean, haven't we all been there? You're staring at some situation, good or bad, and you just wonder, why? Why me? Why is this happening now? It's such a human question.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Our gut reaction, that initial feeling of this is amazing or this is the worst thing ever, is almost never the whole story. It's just page one. Life's a much bigger book, and the full picture, well, that takes time to reveal itself. So, to really see what I mean, let's jump into our story. It all happens in this tiny village right next to a forest, and it's all about a humble farmer, his son, and a horse that was, well, pretty special.
So let me introduce you to our main character, Mr. Adam. Now this guy, he lived a super simple life. Having just enough to get by was for him a total blessing. But what really set him apart was his mindset. He was always content, never complained. All he had was a small piece of land, his son Daniel, and his one horse, Max.
And listen, Max was not just some farm animal. This horse was smart, he was strong, a hard worker. The bond they all shared was incredibly deep. For Mr. Adam and Daniel, Max wasn't just property. He was family. Simple as that. Okay, so this is where the story really starts to pick up speed. The whole village is about to watch this roller coaster of what looks like good luck and bad luck, and it's going to leave everyone completely scratching their heads. So just look at this sequence of events. First, their prized horse, Max, just vanishes. That's got to be bad, right? But then, 10 days later, he comes back, and he's brought 5 wild horses with him. Unbelievable luck. Then, boom, Daniel breaks his leg trying to train one of them. A total disaster. And to top it all off, war is declared. What on earth could that mean? The whole sequence is just wild. And what's fascinating is the difference in how people react. When Max runs off, the villagers are just relentless. They're mocking Mr. Adam, saying he was foolish, that he didn't deserve such a good horse. But his response? Totally calm. He just tells his worried son, Daniel, there's good and bad in everything. Let's not worry too much. And then the tables completely turn. Max comes trotting back with 5 more horses in tow. The very same villagers who were laughing at him are now falling over themselves, calling him the luckiest man in the world. And Mr. Adam? Absolutely no change. No big celebration, no pride, just balance. He just accepts it. But then, just when you think everything's going great, bam, disaster strikes. One of the new horses throws Daniel, and his leg is broken, and it's a bad break. The villagers start whispering again, saying the new horses were a curse. And this time, even Daniel is crushed, telling his dad, "Dad, this time it's for real. Something truly bad has happened." And right here, this is the absolute core of Mr. Adam's wisdom. With his son in so much pain, he offers this. He's not ignoring the pain, not at all, but he refuses to stamp the event as purely bad. He knows the story just isn't finished yet. All right, now we're getting to the climax of the story, and you're about to see how this terrible accident turns into something completely different, an unexpected, life-saving gift. And then, seemingly out of the blue, war breaks out. The government shows up in the village and they start rounding up every single able-bodied young man to go fight. You can just imagine the fear and panic sweeping through every family. And this really shows you what happened. The army takes pretty much every young man they can find. But when they get to Daniel, they take one look at his broken leg and just pass him by. The very injury that felt like a catastrophe is the one thing that keeps him safe at home. And the sad reality is, a lot of those boys, they never made it back home. The village is just filled with grief. And suddenly that unfortunate injury doesn't seem so unfortunate anymore. It literally saved Daniel's life. So now, looking back, Mr. Adam can finally sit down with his son and connect all the dots. It's a lesson you can only really learn with time, the wisdom of seeing the bigger picture. Let's just lay it all out, right? Losing Max seemed awful, but it led to them getting 5 horses. Breaking a leg felt like the end of the world, but it saved Daniel from the war. In both cases, what looked like a curse turned out to be a blessing in disguise. So what does this all boil down to? What are the principles we can actually take from this? Well, don't get too carried away when things are great, and don't feel completely broken when things are terrible.
Instead, try to be patient, try to be thankful no matter what, and trust that maybe, just maybe, you're not seeing the whole plan just yet. It's all about finding that balance.
Okay, so this is about more than just a nice story about a farmer, right? The real magic happens when we start to apply this way of thinking to our own lives, especially when things feel chaotic or just plain unfair. So how can we actually do this? Well, here's a kind of four-step guide. First, just acknowledge what you're feeling. Notice that immediate gut reaction. Step 2, pause, just for a second. Resist that urge to slap a label on it, good or bad. Then, step 3, try to zoom out. Remind yourself that you might be looking at one piece of a giant puzzle. And finally, step 4, just trust in time. Let the story play out.
And this leads to one last piece of wisdom from the story, and it's a really comforting one. Life is always moving. The amazing moments pass, but so do the really painful ones. Nothing lasts forever, which is exactly why having that balanced view is so powerful.
So I guess I'll just leave you with this to think about. What part of your own story are you in right now? Are you in a moment that feels like the greatest fortune? Or maybe one that feels like a terrible misfortune? And is it possible, just possible, that you're in the middle of a chapter and the true meaning of it all hasn't been revealed yet?